Hi guys, this is Eve from Ovaniz and today we're going to learn how to make a basketball player fondant figure. So let's get started. For this tutorial we will use a skewer, some sculpting tools, an X-Acto knife, approximately 130 grams of brown fondant, any color of fondant that you would like to use for the uniform, some black fondant, and again a random color of fondant for the body because it will be covered by the uniform, so you can use any unneeded color you like. Now before we get started, I would like to point out that there are two kinds of fondant figures that we can make. The one on the left is a cartoon-like simple fondant figure, which we're going to make today, and the one on the right is a realistic fondant figure that was sculpted by the photo to fondant tutorial, and we will talk about this option at the end of this tutorial. And now let's get started. We are starting with the legs, and for the legs we're going to use 90 grams of the brown fondant, 45 grams for each leg. It is very important and very convenient to weigh the fondant. This way you're going to be sure that your body parts or your figures are accurate and proportioned well. So take the 45 grams of the brown fondant and roll it in between your hands into a long rope shape in which the one side is wider and one side is thinner. Roll the leg between your fingers in the middle to create the knee area and pinch out a knee. Okay, make the ankle part a little bit thinner again. Bend it in half. Okay, shape the knee a little bit better. And this is the leg, and repeat the same for the second leg as well. Leave the leg to dry on top of the base and not in this position, because until the fondant dries it will be pulled down, so it's better to leave it this way. Next, we're going to make the arms. So for the arms, we're using 50 grams of brown fondant, 25 grams for each arm. Again, I'm weighing my fondant to be sure that my arms are identical. Roll the fondant in between your hands, and again, one of the ends is going to be wider and one is more narrow. So we're starting to make the shoulder muscle. Okay, so rolling between your fingers to create the shoulder muscle. Next, rolling between your fingers to create the bicep. Pinch out an elbow. Now you can pinch out the hand. Roll in between your fingers to make the wrist. Squeeze the fondant at the end to create the hand, and with an X-Acto knife we're cutting out the fingers. So first the thumb and 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers. Roll the fondant in between your fingers just to shape the fondant figures a little bit better. And this is the result. Repeat, of course, the process with the second hand and lay it aside to dry. Next, we're going to sculpt the body. We're going to be using 130 grams of random color fondant. Again, you can use a brown color fondant or ivory skin color fondant, but because this is going to be covered with the uniform, it is really doesn't matter what color it is, and it is a very fondant saving method because usually you have some scraps, you have some leftovers from unused fondant, and you can easily use it for this purpose. So take the fondant and shape it into rounded rectangle. Push into the fondant to pull out some chest. Narrow it slightly at the bottom, and this is the shape that we're looking for. This is the shape that they're looking for, and now you can set it aside to dry a little bit. Next, we're going to shape the shoes. For this, we're going to take 9 grams of black fondant for each shoe. Okay, roll it into an oval shape, and afterwards squeeze with the fingers and create this kind of shoe shape. Just like this. It's a basketball sport shoe, so it's a high sports shoe. Okay, repeat the process with the second fondant ball. Next, we're going to make some details for the shoes. I do not know the technical names of the parts, so just follow the tutorial as you see it on screen. Okay, I cut out 2 small rectangles out of red fondant, and I'm going to use a little bit of water to glue them to the shoe. I'm just making small indentations with this ruler to give the texture. Just slightly pushing the ruler onto the fondant. And as I said, using a little bit of water, I am gluing it on top of the shoe. Next, I'm cutting 2 half circles for the front part of the shoe and attaching them to the shoe again with water. Next, we're going to cut out 4 shapes like this for the sides of the shoe. So roll out the black fondant, very thin, about 1 to 2 millimeters thick, and cut out 4 identical trapeze shaped pieces. You can cut out one shape like this and afterwards use it as a template for the others. Okay, now using small amount of water and a brush, just brush slightly on the sides of the shoes and attach those pieces on the side. For the shoe sole, roll out a piece of white fondant, cut out 2 long thin stripes and glue them at the bottom of the shoe. For the shoelaces, roll a small piece of white fondant in between your hands, as thin as you can, very thin. Cut out small pieces and glue them to the shoe. Next, we're going to assemble our figure. So take the base, place the two legs in the middle. Okay, insert the skewer into the body. I'm sorry it's out of frame, but just basically put the skewer through the body in the middle and insert it into the base on top of the legs. Because the neck is going to be visible out of the uniform, we're going to be using brown fondant. Take approximately 10 grams of brown fondant and attach it on top of the body and shape out the neck. Just spread and smooth the fondant on top of the body so there were no bumps visible. Very carefully, not to distort the body itself. Just like this. Next, we're going to make the uniform. I'm making a red uniform. You can use any color you need. So roll out a piece of fondant, approximately 2 to 3 millimeters thick, and cut out a rectangle. It is about 12 centimeters long and 6 centimeters wide. Place the legs as you want them. Cut the fondant in the middle, but only to the middle of the rectangle, and place them on top of the legs. Now fold the excess fondant beneath the legs, and notice that I'm not wrapping the leg with the fondant very tightly. I'm leaving spaces because I want to create the feeling that it's a loose pant. So this is the way to do it. Just using the sculpting tools, lift it a little bit and leave some spaces between the leg and the red fondant. Don't worry about the back, it's going to be covered with the shirt. For the shirt, roll out a piece of red fondant and cut out in a rectangle approximately 20-22 centimeters long and 10 to 12 centimeters wide. It's better to make it longer and cut off the excess, then it's going to be too short. I'm using a piping tip to create a hole for the neck in the middle, and I'm putting the short piece on top of our neck. Fold the excess fondant inside, and that makes it look like the shirt is tucked in the shirts and kind of loose on the body and not wrapping it very tightly. Okay, attach the shirt at the sides. Okay, if your rectangle was too narrow and you don't have enough fondant on the sides, you can use 2 extra stripes of fondant. Just glue them at the sides. Now using an X-Acto knife, I'm cutting out a small piece of the fondant on the top to create a V-neck. And now I'm cutting a long thin stripe of black fondant to create a color. For the numbers on the shirt, roll out a thin piece of black fondant, and I'm using these small cutters and just making a random number and using some water to attach them to the shirt. Just adding some details to the uniform. This is a uniform I found on the net, so I'm just trying to copy it from there. So obviously whatever uniform you're copying, just follow the details you see on the uniform. And we're done with the uniform. It's time to attach the shoes, so I'm just cutting a small piece from the legs and again using some water to attach the shoes. Last and not least, we're attaching the arms. Again, of course, we're using water. If needed, you can hold the arms a little bit in place until the water dries a little bit, and then the arms are glued to the body. For the basketball, take a small piece of light brown on orange fondant, roll it into a ball. Okay, make indentations using a ruler, and afterwards just paint with the brush and black gel food coloring in indentations. So this is the first option that you can make. This is the simple man figure, and you can learn how to do it by watching our tutorial, and the link is in the description box below. And for the second option, and I'm really excited to talk about it because this is the best seller at Ovaniz.com, this is the premium tutorial on making a portrait out of fondant. Okay, this is a product that changed the birthday cake and celebration cake entirely. And just imagine seeing your loved one's face when he sees himself on a cake. You can make your child, you can make your husband, you can make a celebrity, you can make your child's head on a superhero's body. The possibilities are endless, and this is a truly amazing product. And now for the surprise, we have a special coupon only for our YouTube subscribers. 10% off on all the tutorials on our website and the sculpting tools. So all you need to do to receive this coupon code is to write this code in our website at checkout, and you are all set. So thank you for watching this tutorial. All the details are in the description box down below and at ovaniz.com. If you want to watch more tutorials about fondant figures, and you guys like us have a passion for cake fondant decoration, we invite you to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. This was Eve from Ovaniz. See you in the next videos. Stay sweet.